stupidest thing I've ever seen. Wow. Just wow.
How's it going, guys? This is ZonalFear bringing you a Planetside 2 gameplay commentary. Today I'm going to be talking about some of the changes that are due to happen to Planetside 2 and what my overall impressions of the patch list is. So recently Sony announced that Planetside 2 would be getting a major update at the end of January, and there are a lot of sort of interesting little changes in there, and there are some which I think are quite big, and some of them I feel are much needed. First of all, the Empire bonus experience. At the moment, if one Empire has the least amount of players, for example the TR have 40% of the world population, the NC have 40% of the world population, and the Vanu have 20% of the world population, the Vanu will be given a small percentage bonus for any experience earned to kind of make up for the fact that they are the lowest numbered population. However, these populations vary massively by continents on each individual world. So for the server that I play on, which is Miller, I usually play on Esamir, and it's mainly dominated by the NC. So much so that there have been quite a few times that I've been playing on Miller Esamir where Vanu have just 9% of the overall population. What Sony are proposing to do is moving the experience gain for the lowest populated faction from a per world basis to a per continent basis. So hopefully that's going to encourage some people to actually move over to the continents where their empire really needs them. That is a change I'm really looking forward to, and as it directly affects me as a player who pretty much stays on Esamir virtually all the time, it's quite a big thing as well. It means that I'm going to be rewarded for sort of sticking in there and battling it out with the vastly numerically superior NC and TR forces. Another one of the changes that Sony have announced is the slight invulnerability to freshly spawned players. Right now, freshly spawned players have no invulnerability, and you can be shot at the instant that you spawn. Sometimes with Planetside 2, there is like a slight black screen pause, and while you can't really do anything because you can't see anything, the enemy can see you, and you usually find yourself spawning dead because you haven't been able to do anything. What Sony are going to be doing is adding a little bit of invulnerability to freshly spawned players, so if Planetside 2 does have one of its moments, you can spawn in the battle knowing that you're not going to spawn in it dead. They have said that doing anything like getting in a vehicle or firing a weapon will break that invulnerability, as it should do. So this is a good balance of protecting freshly spawned players and making sure that freshly spawned players don't have the upper hand because they're still under invulnerability. Sony have also said that they're going to be adding new spawn rooms to bases. This is a really good thing. There are quite a few bases on Esamir in particular that are not very good. You know, they have just one spawn room, and you'll often find an attacking force camping your spawn room, so the second that you leave the spawn point you wind up dead because they're basically camping the roofs and the walls next to it and so forth. So what they're going to be doing is adding more spawn rooms and more spawn points at each base. I think this is a really good sort of thing to add to Planetside 2 and to the smaller bases that only have one spawn room, because at the moment it's a bit of a slaughterhouse near the spawn room every time there's an attack on that base. So hopefully this will alleviate some of the problems with spawn camping and be able to keep the action flowing at each base a little smoother. Sony have also said that there's going to be a large number of other fixes and sort of tweaks to Planetside 2, such as a tweak on experience, hopefully a general performance increase in Sony's words. It does say here particularly for lower end GPUs. I really do hope that there is still quite a bit that's concentrated on the more mid and high range PCs, because I've often spoke of Planetside 2's issues with AMD machines, and it's not very good to sort of keep the game at it. Right now what happens in a major sort of battle is that the AMD machines are really chugging, whereas the Intel based machines are generally running fine from conversations that I've had with friends who own different platform rigs. There's also a couple more things like anti-air improvements. I do hope that these make a difference. At the moment, anti-air is not as effective as it should be. By the time you've got all your sort of max suits and everything else like that, and sky guards on top of lightnings, the pilots are usually, they're not silly enough to sort of stay in your general area the second that they're fired on. And with the afterburner, it means that they can whiz out of there really quick, sort of land in the middle of nowhere and get straight back to the action again. Whereas anti-air should be a real threat to air vehicles, and pilots should really dread going up against anti-air. That's not me saying make anti-air overpowered, it's me saying that it perhaps needs some adjustment to make anti-air more effective against aircraft right now. As it stands, you really do need, for the bases that do not have stationary turrets, you need 2 or 3 guys who are really coordinated with max suits and the burster attachment to really have any sort of impact on aircraft. Like, just here I'm firing at a Liberator and it's not really doing an awful lot, whereas 2 or 3 coordinated people would be able to do some damage against it. But right now that's not really happening very much, and 2 or 3 people on the ground with anti-air should be able to defeat 1 person in the air in a Mosquito or Reaver. There are numerous other fixes that Sony are planning. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the link to the full update list and let you guys take a good look at it. By all means, feel free to leave me a comment below on what you think of the proposed changes to Planetside 2 and how you think it'll affect the game. Thanks for listening, guys, and until next time, take care.